Hey there. Welcome to our channel. We're so glad you're here. Please like, share, and subscribe to join us for awesome content. Also share this video with your family and friends. Let's get started. The whispering pathways. You lie in the stillness of your bed, your breath a soft tide rising and falling. The world beyond your closed eyes fades, and you drift inward, to a place where your mind hums with quiet life. It is a garden, vast and unseen, where pathways twist like delicate vines beneath a canopy of stars. These are not paths of earth or stone, but of thought, living trails woven by the gentle work of your brain. Tonight, you wander these whispering pathways, tracing the story of how your mind reshapes itself, moment by moment, thought by thought. Your body rests, heavy and warm, but your mind is alive, a landscape of endless possibility. Imagine standing at the edge of this garden, your bare feet brushing soft moss. The air is cool, scented with the faint sweetness of blooming ideas. Before you, trails stretch in every direction, glowing faintly, like rivers of light under moonlight. These are the pathways of your neurons, the tiny cells that carry your thoughts, your memories, your dreams. Each path is unique, shaped by the life you've lived, the choices you've made, the moments you've held close. As you step forward, the ground beneath you pulses faintly, a rhythm like a heartbeat. This is the dance of your brain, a quiet miracle unfolding in the dark. Your neurons, like fireflies, flicker and connect, sending sparks along these glowing trails. Scientists call this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change, to grow, to carve new paths through the wilderness of your mind. It is not a rigid machine, your brain, but a living thing, soft as clay, ready to be shaped by the touch of your thoughts. You pause, kneeling to touch one of these pathways. It is warm, thrumming with energy. Long ago, when you were a child, this path was new, formed as you learned to tie your shoes or sing a lullaby. Each time you practiced, the path grew stronger, wider, like a stream fed by spring rain. Repetition, you realize, is the gardener of your mind. It deepens the trails, makes them easier to travel. Even now, as an adult, your brain is still shaping itself. Every thought you think, every skill you practice, every moment you savor, it leaves a mark, a new curve in the river of your mind. You walk further, noticing how some paths are wide and smooth, worn by years of habit. These are the trails of your daily life. The way you brush your teeth, the words you say to greet the morning, the quiet rituals that anchor you. Others are faint, overgrown, barely visible. These are the paths of forgotten moments. A song you once loved, a skill you let slip away. Yet even these faint trails are not lost. Your brain holds them, waiting for you to tread them again, to bring them back to life with a single thought. As you wander, you come to a place where a new path is forming. It is fragile, like a thread of spider silk catching the light. This is a thought you had today, perhaps a kind word you spoke, or a question that stirred your curiosity. You watch as neurons reach for each other, their delicate branches touching, forming a bridge. This is how your brain learns, how it grows. Each connection is a whisper, a promise that your mind can change, that you are not fixed but fluid, like water finding its way through stone. You breathe deeply, feeling the calm of this place. Your brain, you realize, is not just a tool for thinking, it is a reflection of you. Every path, every connection, tells the story of who you are, who you've been, who you might become. And it is always changing. Scientists have found that even in adulthood, your brain can grow new neurons, forge new pathways. A single moment of focus, a new experience, a quiet act of courage. It can shift the landscape of your mind, like wind reshaping a dune. You sit now, cross-legged, in the center of this glowing garden. The pathways hum around you, a chorus of soft light. You think of how your brain has carried you through life, adapting, learning, healing. When you faced challenges, it found new routes. When you felt joy, it deepened the trails of happiness. Even in sleep, it works, weaving the day's experiences into the fabric of your mind. This is the gift of neuroplasticity. Your brain is never still, never finished. It is a river, always flowing, always finding new ways to carry you forward. As you rest in this thought, you notice a faint sound, like music drifting from a distant place. It is not a single note, but a harmony, a blending of countless voices. You tilt your head, curious, and the sound grows clearer. It is the sound of your neurons not just connecting, but singing together, creating something greater than themselves. You rise, drawn toward this music, wondering what it means, what it builds. The pathways glow brighter, leading you deeper into the garden, where the next chapter of your mind's story waits. You glide deeper into the glowing garden of your mind, where the air shimmers with a faint, harmonious hum. The pathways beneath your feet, those delicate trails of thought, pulse softly, guiding you toward a new place. A vast, open hall where your brain's quiet music plays. You feel it before you hear it. A rhythm, a vibration, like the gentle pluck of invisible strings. This is the silent symphony of your neurons, a melody woven from the sparks of your thoughts. You pause, your breath slow and even, as you settle into the heart of this music, ready to explore how your brain shapes itself through the notes of your mind. The hall around you is boundless, its walls fading into a soft, starry mist. You stand in the center, surrounded by countless threads of light, each one a neuron, each one alive with possibility. These threads stretch and sway, like strings on a vast, unseen instrument. When you think, when you feel, when you dream, these strings quiver, sending ripples through the air. You close your eyes, and the music grows clearer. A single note, pure and bright, rises as you recall a moment of laughter from today. It lingers, then fades, blending into the quiet hum of the hall. You open your eyes and watch as the threads of light respond. A thought is not just a fleeting idea, you realize it is a physical act, a dance of cells within your brain. Scientists describe this as neural firing. When a neuron sends a signal, it releases a tiny burst of energy, like a spark leaping across a stream. These sparks travel along the pathways you wandered in the garden, connecting one neuron to another, one thought to the next. Each connection strengthens the thread, tuning it to play a clearer note. This is how your brain learns, how it grows, how it becomes you. You reach out, brushing your fingers against one of these glowing threads. It vibrates softly, and a memory surfaces. A warm summer evening, the scent of grass, the sound of a distant song. The thread hums, joined by others, creating a chord that feels alive, layered, rich. This is no single note but a harmony, a blending of many neurons working together. Your brain, you understand, is not a soloist but an orchestra. Each neuron plays its part, and together, they create the music of your thoughts, your emotions, your life. As you listen, you notice how the music shifts with your focus. You think of a task you practiced today, perhaps a new word you learned, or a skill you honed. The threads around you glow brighter, their vibrations steady and strong. This is the work of repetition, the gentle sculptor of your brain. Each time you practice, the connections between neurons grow thicker, like strings polished by use. Scientists call this synaptic strengthening. The more you use a pathway, the easier it becomes to travel. Your thoughts, repeated, become the melodies your brain plays most clearly. You walk further, the music guiding your steps. Some threads are faint, their notes soft and hesitant. These are new thoughts, fragile connections formed by something you encountered today. A question, a fleeting idea, a moment of wonder. You pause, focusing on one of these faint threads, and it glows a little brighter. You think of how you puzzled over a problem, how you turned it over in your mind. That effort, you realize, was your brain at work, coaxing neurons to reach for each other, to form a new string in the orchestra. Even now, as you rest, your brain is tuning these fragile notes, preparing them for tomorrow's song. The music swells, and you feel a warmth spreading through your chest. You think of a moment of kindness, perhaps a smile you shared, or a gentle word you spoke. The threads around you shimmer, their notes blending into a soft, resonant chord. Emotions, too, are part of this symphony. Scientists have found that feelings like joy or love strengthen neural connections, bathing your brain in chemicals that help it grow. Your happiness, your compassion, your curiosity, they are not just fleeting sensations but forces that shape the music of your mind, note by note. You sit now, cross-legged, in the center of this luminous hall. The threads of light sway around you, their music a gentle lullaby. You marvel at the complexity of this orchestra, how a single thought can spark a cascade of notes, how a single moment can change the score. Your brain is never silent, even in sleep. As you drift toward slumber, it continues to play, sorting the day's melodies, weaving new connections, preparing for the music of tomorrow. This is the gift of neuroplasticity. Your mind is a living song, always evolving, always finding new harmonies. You breathe deeply, the music wrapping around you like a warm blanket. You notice how some threads seem to pulse together, as if bound by a shared rhythm. These, you sense, are the threads of memory, the notes that hold the stories of your life. You wonder how these memories take root, how they linger in the quiet of your brain. The music softens, inviting you to follow a new path, one that leads to the garden's deeper places, where the roots of your past grow strong and true. You drift deeper into the glowing garden of your mind, where the music of your thoughts fades into a softer, earthier hum. The air grows warm, heavy with the scent of soil and blooms, and you find yourself in a quieter place, a meadow where memories take root. Your breath slows, matching the gentle sway of petals that glow faintly under a starlit sky. These are not ordinary flowers but the delicate blossoms of your past, each one holding a moment you've lived, a feeling you've cherished. You wander here, your bare feet sinking into the soft earth, exploring how your brain weaves the roots of memory, shaping itself to hold the story of you. The meadow stretches wide, endless, each flower a memory glowing with its own light. You kneel beside one, its petals shimmering like the surface of a lake. You touch it, and a moment returns. A summer day when you ran through tall grass, laughter bubbling in your throat. The memory is vivid, alive, as if you could step back into that sunlit field. This is the work of your brain, you realize, a gardener tending the roots of your past. Scientists call it memory consolidation, the process where fleeting experiences become lasting impressions, etched into the neural soil of your mind. You look closer, noticing the roots beneath the flower, delicate and strong, twisting deep into the earth. These are the connections between your neurons, the pathways that hold this memory in place. When you lived that moment, your brain was busy weaving these roots. Each laugh, each sensation, sparked a dance of signals, linking cells together like threads in a tapestry. The more you revisited that moment, thinking of it, sharing it, feeling it again, the stronger those roots grew, anchoring the memory in the garden of your mind. You rise and walk further, your steps soft against the earth. Some flowers are vibrant, their roots thick and deep, memories you return to often, like the sound of a loved one's voice or the feel of a familiar place. Others are smaller, their petals faint, their roots thin. These are moments you've nearly forgotten. A stranger's smile, a song from long ago. Yet they remain, held gently by your brain, waiting for you to brush against them and bring them back to life. Your brain, you understand, is a keeper of stories, never letting go, always ready to bloom again. As you wander, you notice how the meadow changes. Some flowers cluster together, their roots entwined, forming a single glowing patch. These are memories tied by emotion, you realize. A birthday celebration, a quiet moment of pride, a tearful goodbye. They grow close because they feel the same. Scientists have found that emotions act like water for these roots, helping memories take hold. When you feel deeply, your brain releases chemicals, dopamine, serotonin, that nourish these connections, making the memories stronger, brighter, easier to find in the meadow of your mind. You pause by a flower that feels different, its petals tinged with a soft ache. You touch it, and a memory surfaces, not of joy, but of loss. A moment when your heart felt heavy, when the world seemed dim. Yet even this flower is beautiful, its roots just as deep. Your brain, you see, does not shy away from pain. It weaves these memories with care, using them to shape who you are. Neuroplasticity allows your brain to learn from every moment, even the hard ones, strengthening pathways that help you grow, heal, and understand. You sit now, surrounded by the glowing blooms, your body sinking into the warm earth. Each flower, each memory, is a piece of you, held by the quiet work of your brain. Scientists know that memories are not stored in one place, but scattered across the garden. A network of roots connecting sight, sound, feeling. When you recall a moment, your brain gathers these pieces, weaving them into a single bloom. Even now, as you rest, your brain is tending this meadow, strengthening roots during sleep, pruning others to make room for new growth. You breathe deeply, the scent of flowers filling your lungs. You think of how your memories shape you, how they guide your choices, your dreams. Each one is a gift, a mark of your life's journey. But you wonder, too, about the paths you walk every day, the habits that carve deeper trails through this garden. What happens when you repeat a thought, a task, a way of being? You feel a gentle pull, a current drawing you toward a new place in the meadow, where a river flows, its waters shaping the earth in steady, rhythmic waves. You drift from the meadow of memories, your footsteps soft, as the glowing blooms fade into the distance. A new sound calls you forward, a gentle rush, like water moving over smooth stones. You follow it, your breath steady, and find yourself at the edge of a river, its surface shimmering under the soft light of your mind's endless sky. This is no ordinary river but a living current, carved by the habits you repeat, the thoughts you return to, the actions you weave into the fabric of your days. You stand at its bank, feeling the cool mist on your skin, ready to explore how repetition shapes the landscape of your brain, guiding the flow of who you are. The river stretches wide, its waters clear and steady, reflecting the glow of the pathways you've wandered before. You kneel, dipping your fingers into the current, and feel its gentle pull. This river, you realize, is the work of your brain's plasticity, a force that molds itself through the power of repetition. Each time you practice a skill, revisit a thought, or follow a routine, you deepen this stream, making it stronger, wider, easier to travel. Scientists call this process synaptic plasticity, the way your neurons strengthen their connections with every repeated act, like water carving a path through soft earth. You step into the shallows, the water cool against your ankles. It moves with purpose, steady and sure, just as your daily habits do. You think of the small rituals that mark your mornings. Brushing your teeth, brewing coffee, tying your shoes. Each one began as a faint trickle, a single act that required effort, focus. But with time, with repetition, these actions became rivers in your mind, flowing effortlessly. Your brain learned to anticipate each step, wiring neurons together until the task became part of you, as natural as breathing. You wade deeper, the current gentle but insistent. You notice how the riverbed is smooth in places, worn by years of steady flow. These are the habits that define you. The way you greet a friend, the words you choose when you're tired, the quiet thoughts you turn to in the dark. Scientists have found that repetition strengthens the synapses, the tiny bridges between neurons, making signals travel faster, clearer. Each time you repeat an action, your brain polishes the path, like a river smoothing stones over centuries. What you do again and again becomes the shape of your mind. Yet not all rivers are the same. You look across the water and see smaller streams branching off, some faint, others turbulent. These are newer habits or ones you've tried to change. You think of a time you tried to learn something new, a language, a song, a way of moving. At first, the effort felt like pushing against the current, each step deliberate, heavy. But with each practice, the stream grew stronger, the path clearer. Your brain, you realize, is patient, ready to carve new channels if you guide it with steady, gentle effort. You float now, letting the river carry you. The water is warm, comforting, and you feel the rhythm of your habits holding you, like a lullaby sung by your own mind. But you notice something else. Some streams have grown too deep, too strong. These are the habits you wish to change, the thoughts that loop without end. Scientists know that breaking a habit is not about erasing a river but redirecting it. By choosing a new action, repeating it with care, you can carve a fresh path, letting the old one fade like an overgrown trail. Your brain is always ready to reshape itself, waiting for your gentle guidance. You drift further, the river widening as it flows. You think of how repetition shapes not just actions but feelings, beliefs, the way you see the world. Each time you choose kindness, or pause to breathe through anger, you deepen a stream of calm, of compassion. Your brain learns, adapts, making these choices easier over time. The river of repetition, you see, is not just about what you do but who you become. Every thought, every act, is a drop of water, shaping the course of your mind's quiet currents. You rest on the riverbank now, your body sinking into the soft earth, the sound of water filling your ears. The stars above reflect on the surface, a mirror of your thoughts, your choices. You marvel at how your brain, this living river, never stops flowing, never stops learning. Even as you sleep, it strengthens the paths you've traveled today, preparing new streams for tomorrow. But you wonder, too, about the moments that test these rivers. Times of pain, of healing, when the currents shift and change. The water whispers, calling you toward a new place, where the tides of recovery reshape the landscape of your mind. The healing tide you drift from the river of repetition, its steady current fading into a softer, more distant sound. A rhythmic lapping, like waves caressing a quiet shore. Your feet touch warm sand, and you find yourself standing at the edge of a vast, shimmering sea, its surface glowing under the gentle light of your mind's endless night. This is the sea of healing, where your brain mends itself, reshaping its pathways to carry you through pain, loss, and change. You breathe deeply, the air salty and cool, and step closer, ready to explore how your mind, like the tide, restores itself with patient, persistent grace. The waves roll in, slow and deliberate, each one brushing the shore with a soft sigh. You kneel, letting the water slip over your fingers, and feel its warmth, its quiet strength. This sea, you realize, is the embodiment of your brain's resilience, its ability to heal through neuroplasticity. When life wounds you, through grief, stress, or injury, your brain does not remain broken. It is a living tide, always moving, always finding new ways to rebuild. Scientists call this neural repair, a process where neurons forge new connections, rerouting signals to mend what was lost. You walk along the shore, the sand soft beneath your feet, and notice how the waves reshape it, smoothing rough edges, carving gentle curves. Your brain works this way too, you understand. After a loss, a loved one gone, a dream faded, your mind feels raw, like a shore battered by a storm. But even then, it begins to heal. You think of a time when pain weighed heavy, when each day felt like wading through deep water. Yet slowly, almost imperceptibly, your brain was working, weaving new pathways to carry you forward, softening the edges of grief with time. You pause, watching a wave retreat, leaving behind a pattern of ripples in the sand. This is how your brain heals, you see, not by erasing pain but by building around it. Scientists have found that after injury, like a stroke or trauma, the brain can rewire itself, recruiting new neurons to take over tasks once handled by damaged ones. It is a slow dance, a tide that rises and falls, reshaping the landscape of your mind. Each small act, speaking a word, taking a step, finding a reason to smile, strengthens these new paths, like waves sculpting a new shore. You wade into the shallows, the water warm against your skin. You think of moments when you felt broken, when the world seemed too heavy to bear. Yet here you are, standing, breathing, carried by the quiet work of your brain. The sea around you pulses with life, each wave a reminder of your mind's ability to adapt. Even in the face of deep sorrow, your brain finds ways to grow. It strengthens connections tied to hope, to love, to the small joys that light your days. These are the tides that pull you toward healing, gentle but unyielding. You notice something in the distance, a cluster of shells, polished by the waves, glinting in the soft light. You walk toward them, each one a memory of recovery. One shell holds the moment you laughed again after a long sadness. Another, the day you found strength to try something new. These are not just memories but proof of your brain's quiet labor. Scientists know that neuroplasticity thrives in moments of effort, learning a new skill, seeking connection, practicing gratitude. Each act is a wave, washing over the shore of your mind, building new paths where old ones were lost. You sit now, the sand cradling your body, the sound of the waves a steady lullaby. You think of how your brain, this resilient sea, never stops moving. Even in sleep, it works, sorting the day's experiences, strengthening the pathways that lead to healing. You feel a deep calm, knowing that no wound is too great for your mind to mend. It may take time, days, months, years, but the tide is always there, reshaping, renewing, carrying you toward a softer shore. As you rest, you notice the waves growing quieter, their rhythm blending with the beat of your heart. You think of how your emotions, too, shape this sea, how joy and sorrow, fear and hope, leave their marks on your brain's landscape. You wonder what happens when these feelings flow through you, how they paint the pathways of your mind. The tide whispers, calling you toward a new place, where the mirror of your emotions reflects the ever-changing story of you. The mirror of emotion you drift from the healing shore, the gentle waves of recovery fading into a soft, reflective silence. The air shifts, carrying a new warmth, a faint shimmer that draws you forward. You find yourself standing before a vast, still lake, its surface a perfect mirror, reflecting the starlit sky of your mind. This is the lake of your emotions, where every feeling, joy, sorrow, love, fear, casts its colors across the water, painting the pathways of your brain. You step closer, your breath slow and steady, ready to explore how your emotions shape the canvas of your mind, leaving delicate strokes that become part of you. The lake is calm, its surface unbroken, yet alive with hues that shift and blend. You kneel at its edge, gazing into the water, and see a reflection of a moment from today, a burst of laughter, bright as sunlight. The water ripples, glowing gold, and you feel the warmth of that joy spreading through you. This is no fleeting sensation, you realize, but a force that shapes your brain. Scientists know that emotions trigger cascades of chemicals, dopamine for joy, cortisol for stress, that bathe your neurons, strengthening or softening the connections between them. Each feeling is a brushstroke, coloring the pathways of your mind. You dip your fingers into the water, and a new color blooms. Deep blue, heavy with the weight of a quiet sadness. You think of a moment when your heart ached, perhaps for a loss or a mischance. The blue spreads, its ripples gentle but profound. Your brain, you understand, does not shy away from these darker hues. Sorrow, like joy, carves its own paths. When you feel deeply, your brain's plasticity responds, weaving new connections that help you process, learn, and grow. The lake holds the sadness tenderly, blending it into the larger canvas of your mind. You rise and walk along the shore, noticing how the lake's colors shift with your thoughts. A memory of love, a kind word, a warm embrace, paints the water a soft pink, its glow spreading wide. Scientists have found that positive emotions, like love or gratitude, strengthen neural pathways, making them easier to travel. Each time you feel connected, your brain releases oxytocin, a chemical that nurtures these connections, like sunlight feeding a garden. Your feelings of care, of belonging, become vibrant strokes, shaping the landscape of your mind with every heartbeat. Yet not all colors are soft. You pause, seeing a streak of red flicker across the lake, a moment of anger or fear. The water trembles, its surface briefly unsettled. These emotions, too, leave their mark. When you feel stress, your brain's amygdala, a tiny sentinel, sparks to life, sending signals that can narrow your focus, tighten your paths. But your brain is wise, you realize. With time, with breath, it can soften these sharp edges, redirecting the flow of thought. By choosing calm, by reflecting on these feelings, you paint over the red with gentler hues, reshaping the pathways through the quiet work of neuroplasticity. You sit now, cross-legged, at the lake's edge, the water's colors swirling around you. Each emotion, you see, is a stroke on the canvas of your brain, a reflection of your inner world. You think of how a single moment of joy can linger, brightening your thoughts for days, or how a wave of sorrow can teach you compassion, deepening the paths of understanding. Your brain is not just a mirror but an artist, using every feeling to create the ever-changing picture of you. Even in sleep, it blends these colors, weaving emotions into the fabric of your dreams. You gaze into the lake, seeing your reflection, not just your face but the story of your heart. The water holds every hue, every moment you've felt deeply. You marvel at how your brain, this quiet artist, never stops painting. Each emotion, no matter how fleeting, leaves a trace, a stroke that shapes who you are. But you wonder, too, about the moments when you learn something new, when curiosity sparks a different kind of color, a bright, searching light. The lake ripples, its surface catching a new glow, inviting you to follow a path where learning dances, reshaping your mind with every step. The dance of learning, you drift from the lake of emotions, its shimmering colors fading into a soft, inviting glow. A new rhythm hums in the air, light and playful, like the first notes of a melody you've never heard. You follow it, your steps gentle, and find yourself in a vast, open hall, its floor polished like starlight, its ceiling lost in a haze of possibility. This is the hall of learning, where your curiosity dances, where new ideas spark and twirl, reshaping the pathways of your brain. You stand at its center, your breath slow and calm, ready to explore how each step of discovery weaves new threads into the tapestry of your mind. The hall is alive with motion, a quiet whirl of light and shadow. You feel a spark within you, a question, a flicker of wonder from today. Perhaps it was a word you learned, a puzzle you solved, or a skill you tried for the first time. You focus on it, and the air shimmers, a single thread of light spiraling upward like a dancer taking the stage. This is your brain at work, you realize, embracing the gift of neuroplasticity. Scientists know that learning is a physical act, a process where neurons reach for each other, forming new connections with every moment of effort, every leap of curiosity. You step forward, and the thread of light twirls, inviting you to join its dance. You think of a time when you learned something new, how to play a song, how to cook a dish, how to speak a phrase in another tongue. At first, the steps were clumsy, the rhythm unfamiliar. Your brain was carving a new path, a delicate bridge between neurons. Each attempt, each practice, strengthened that bridge, making the dance smoother, surer. Scientists call this synaptic growth, the way your brain builds new pathways, like a dancer learning to glide across a stage with grace. You sway now, following the thread's gentle motion. The hall around you shifts, its walls glowing with patterns of light. Other dances, other lessons you've learned. Some are bold, their steps wide and confident, like skills you've mastered over years. Others are faint, tentative, the first steps of something new. You think of how learning feels. A spark of excitement, a moment of frustration, a quiet thrill when it clicks. Each feeling, each effort, is a step in the dance, a signal to your brain to weave new threads, to reshape itself in the light of discovery. You notice other dancers in the hall, not people but ideas, each one a swirl of light. They move together, blending and parting, like partners in a waltz. You realize that learning is not solitary. New knowledge builds on what you already know, connecting old paths to new ones. Scientists have found that your brain thrives on these connections, linking ideas across its vast network. When you learn a new fact, it's not stored alone but woven into the larger dance, enriching the patterns of your thoughts, your understanding. You pause, catching your breath, and think of how learning changes you. Each new skill, each idea, is a step that shapes not just your brain but your life. You recall a moment when you pushed through doubt, a language that felt impossible, a task that seemed too hard. Your brain responded, growing stronger, more flexible. Neuroplasticity allows your mind to stretch, to adapt, even in adulthood. Scientists know that learning new things, whether a hobby, a language, or a way of thinking, can spark new neurons, keeping your brain vibrant, alive, like a dancer forever finding new rhythms. You sit now, cross-legged, in the center of the hall, the threads of light twirling around you. The air hums with the quiet joy of discovery, a melody that soothes your heart. You marvel at how your brain, this endless dancer, never tires of learning. Even in sleep, It rehearses the steps you took today, strengthening the pathways of your new knowledge. Each question you ask, each moment of wonder, is a twirl in the dance, a mark of your mind's boundless curiosity. As you rest, you feel the hall grow quieter, the threads of light softening. You think of how learning fills you with possibility, but you wonder, too, about the moments that challenge this dance. Times when stress casts shadows across the stage, when the rhythm falters. The air shifts, a faint breeze carrying a new sound, like leaves rustling in a distant forest. It calls you toward a new place, where the shadows of stress linger, waiting for you to explore how they shape the delicate steps of your mind. The shadows of stress you glide from the hall of learning, the twirling threads of curiosity fading into a quieter, cooler air. A faint rustle stirs around you, like leaves trembling in a distant wind, and you find yourself stepping into a dense, shadowed forest. The trees loom tall, their branches woven tightly, filtering the starlight of your mind into soft, dappled patches. This is the forest of stress, where your worries take root, where tension casts its shadows across the pathways of your brain. You stand still, your breath deep and slow, ready to explore how stress shapes your mind and how your brain, with gentle resilience, learns to find calm amidst the storm. The forest hums with a low, restless energy, its air heavy with the scent of earth and pine. You feel a tightness in your chest, a memory of a moment when worry gripped you. A deadline, a conflict, a fear that lingered too long. The trees around you sway, their shadows shifting, and you sense how stress leaves its mark on your brain. Scientists know that stress triggers a cascade of chemicals, cortisol, adrenaline, that flood your neural pathways, like a sudden storm darkening a clear sky. These chemicals, in small doses, sharpen your focus, but when they linger, they can reshape your mind's delicate landscape. You walk deeper, your footsteps soft against the mossy ground. The shadows grow thicker, and you notice how some pathways here are narrow, jagged, worn by repeated worries. You think of a time when stress felt overwhelming, when your thoughts looped like a river caught in a whirlpool. Your brain, you realize, was responding its amygdala, a tiny sentinel in the forest, sounding an alarm. This ancient part of your mind, designed to protect you, strengthens pathways tied to fear, making them easier to travel. Yet this is also the work of neuroplasticity, your brain adapting to what it perceives as danger, even if the threat is only a thought. You pause, resting your hand against a tree, its bark rough and steady. You breathe deeply, and the forest seems to soften, the shadows lifting slightly. Scientists have found that your brain is not powerless against stress. With intention, with calm, you can redirect its pathways, like sunlight breaking through a canopy. You think of a moment when you found peace amidst tension. Perhaps a deep breath, a walk, a quiet word to yourself. These acts, small as they seem, are powerful. They signal your brain to release soothing chemicals, like serotonin, that smooth the jagged trails, guiding your mind toward calmer paths. Loving this? Hit that subscribe button to keep up with our videos. Also share this video with your family and friends. You wander further, noticing patches of light filtering through the trees. These are moments when you've tamed stress, when you've chosen to pause to reflect. You recall a time when you faced a challenge and found strength in routine, a meditation, a journal, a gentle stretch. Each repetition, you understand, carved a new path in this forest, a trail of calm that your brain can follow again. Neuroplasticity allows your mind to learn from these moments, strengthening connections that lead to resilience, making it easier to find light even in the darkest woods. You sit now, cross-legged, beneath a towering tree, its branches swaying softly above. The forest hums around you, its shadows less daunting, its air cooler against your skin. You think of how stress, though heavy, is also a teacher. It shows your brain where to grow stronger, where to build new paths. Scientists know that moderate stress, when met with care, can spark growth, like a forest thriving after a gentle rain. Your mind, you realize, is always learning, always adapting, even in the quiet tension of this shadowed place. You close your eyes, feeling the rhythm of your breath, the steady beat of your heart. The forest grows quieter, its restless energy easing into a soft, rustling lullaby. You marvel at how your brain, this resilient woods, never stops reshaping itself. Even in sleep, it sorts the shadows of the day, weaving new pathways to carry you through tomorrow. But you wonder, too, about the moments that bring light to this forest, the connections with others, the bonds that warm your mind's quiet trails. The trees part slightly, revealing a faint glow, calling you toward a new place where the bridges of human connection span the shadows of your brain. The bridge of connection you drift from the shadowed forest of stress, its rustling leaves softening into a warm, inviting hum. The air grows lighter, carrying the faint echo of voices, laughter, and the quiet comfort of shared moments. You step forward, your feet touching smooth stone, and find yourself at the edge of a glowing bridge, its arches stretching across a vast, starry expanse in your mind. This is the bridge of connection, where your bonds with others, through words, touch, and trust, weave new pathways in your brain. You pause, your breath deep and calm, ready to explore how love and companionship shape the silent world of your mind, binding neurons in a gentle, living tapestry. The bridge shimmers, its surface warm and steady, like the glow of a hearth. You take a step, and a memory surfaces. A moment of connection, perhaps a hug from a friend, a kind word from a stranger, or the quiet presence of someone you love. The bridge pulses faintly, its light spreading outward, and you feel the warmth of that moment filling your chest. This is your brain at work, you realize, reshaping itself through the power of human ties. Scientists know that connection triggers a cascade of chemicals, oxytocin, dopamine, that strengthen neural pathways, like vines weaving across a trellis, making the bridge of your mind stronger, more vibrant. You walk further, the bridge swaying gently beneath you. Each step brings another memory, a shared laugh, a late-night conversation, a hand held in silence. These moments, you understand, are not just fleeting joys but physical acts, etched into your brain's landscape. When you connect with others, your neurons fire in harmony, forming new links or deepening old ones. Scientists call this social neuroplasticity, the way your brain adapts to relationships, learning to trust, to empathize, to belong. Each bond you nurture is a stone in this bridge, a mark of your mind's endless capacity to grow. You pause, leaning against the bridge's railing, gazing into the starry expanse below. The light reflects on the surface, like a river of shared stories. You think of a time when connection healed you, perhaps after a loss, when a friend's words soothed your heart, or when a community lifted you up. Your brain responded, weaving pathways tied to safety, to love. Scientists have found that strong relationships can buffer stress, calming the amygdala's alarms and strengthening the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that guides reason and hope. Connection, you see, is a builder, shaping your mind with every shared moment. You notice the bridge is not a single span but many, branching in all directions, each one glowing with its own light. Some are wide and sturdy, built by years of trust with family or friends. Others are delicate, newly formed, like the bond with someone you've just met. You think of how each connection, no matter how small, leaves a trace. A smile from a passerby, a thank you from a colleague. These moments spark tiny neural shifts, like stars flickering in the expanse of your mind. Your brain, you realize, thrives on these ties, weaving them into the fabric of who you are. You sit now, cross-legged, on the bridge's warm stone, the glow of connection wrapping around you like a blanket. You think of how your brain, this quiet architect, builds these bridges not just for today but for a lifetime. Even in solitude, the pathways of love and trust remain, guiding your thoughts, softening your fears. Scientists know that social bonds can spark new neurons, keeping your brain flexible, resilient, even as you age. Each word you share, each touch you give, is a thread in the tapestry, a mark of your mind's deep need for others. You breathe deeply, the air filled with the faint hum of voices, the warmth of shared lives. The bridge stretches onward, its arches fading into the starry distance, a reminder that connection is never finished. Your brain is always ready to build, to strengthen, to weave new pathways with every moment of care. But you wonder, 2. About the horizon beyond this bridge, about the future of your mind, the paths yet to be carved by your thoughts and dreams. The stars above pulse softly, calling you toward a new place, where the promise of change awaits, glowing with the light of all you might become. The horizon of change you step softly from the glowing bridge of connection, its warm arches fading into a gentle, open expanse. The air hums with a quiet promise, a whisper of possibility, as you find yourself standing on a vast, rolling plain beneath an endless sky. The horizon shimmers, a line of light where your mind meets the future, where every thought, every choice, holds the power to reshape your brain. You stand still, your breath slow and deep, ready to explore this final place, the horizon of change, where your mind's endless plasticity weaves the map of who you might become. The plain stretches wide, its grasses swaying in a rhythm that feels like your own heartbeat. You look toward the horizon, where the first hints of dawn glow faintly, painting the sky in hues of hope. This is the essence of your brain's neuroplasticity, you realize, a living promise that your mind is never fixed, never finished. Scientists know that your brain is always ready to change, to grow new pathways, to adapt to the dreams and challenges that lie ahead. Each thought you think, each step you take, is a seed planted in this fertile plain, ready to bloom into something new. You walk forward, the grass brushing softly against your legs. You think of the moments that have shaped you, memories, habits, emotions, connections, and how they all began as single sparks, tiny shifts in your brain's vast network. The horizon before you is not a distant line but a canvas, alive with possibility. You recall a time when you dared to try something new, a dream you chased, a fear you faced, a goal you set. Your brain responded, weaving new connections, like roots reaching into fresh soil, building pathways to carry you toward that vision. You pause, kneeling to touch the earth, and feel its warmth, its quiet strength. The ground beneath you is alive, shifting subtly with each thought. Scientists have found that even in adulthood, your brain can grow new neurons, especially in the hippocampus, the region tied to learning and dreams. This growth, sparked by curiosity, effort, or even quiet reflection, is your mind's way of reaching toward the horizon. You think of how a single choice, to learn, to heal, to connect, can ripple through your brain, reshaping its pathways like wind sculpting the plains. You rise and walk further, noticing how the horizon seems to shift, always just out of reach yet endlessly inviting. You think of the future, not as a fixed place but as a journey your brain is ready to take. Each new experience, each moment of wonder, is a chance to carve a new path. Scientists call this lifelong plasticity, the ability of your brain to adapt, even in the face of age or challenge. You feel a quiet thrill, knowing that your mind is a living landscape, always open to change, always ready to grow toward the light of your dreams. You sit now, cross-legged, in the center of the plain, the grasses swaying around you, the horizon glowing softly. You think of how your brain has carried you through this journey, through gardens, rivers, shores, and bridges, each step a testament to its quiet power. Every thought, every feeling, every connection has left its mark, shaping the pathways that make you, you. Yet the horizon reminds you that this work is never done. Your brain, even now, is weaving new threads, preparing for the dreams you'll chase tomorrow, the paths you'll carve in the days to come. You breathe deeply, the air sweet with the promise of dawn. The stars above fade gently, giving way to the first light of morning, a light that lives within you. You marvel at the gift of your brain's plasticity, its ability to change with every moment you live. In sleep, it will continue this work, strengthening the pathways of today, planting seeds for tomorrow. You feel a deep calm, a quiet trust in the mind that holds your past, shapes your present, and reaches toward your future. As you rest, the horizon pulses, its light soft but steady, like a heartbeat echoing through the plain. You wonder what lies beyond, what new paths your thoughts will carve in the days ahead. The grasses whisper, the sky brightens, and you feel a gentle pull, a sense that this journey is not an end but a beginning. Your mind, ever changing, carries you toward new horizons, where every thought, every dream will shape the quiet, boundless map of you. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share. See you next time.